Okay, so let's look at the green stalk planter first. This is where we planted some lettuce. And it's kind of wilty and burnt on the tips because it has been 95 degrees or more for the last few days. But you can see it's doing well. It's all growing in there. So the lettuce and the green stalk planter's looking good. And over here, our clematis has decided to finally open up and flower. These are just gorgeous flowers. It's really cool when these die back, they leave just these little stringy things in balls all over the plant. I'll show you that when it does that later. And then over here we have the raised bed that we moved from what we're turning into our barbecue area. We moved it over to here, we redid the top with new lumber, and then we planted some lettuce in here also. So I've got the ruby red variety, iceberg, and black seeded Simpson. And then the last row here is some spinach. So this new bed seems to be working out just fine. The lettuce in here is actually doing better than the lettuce in the green stalk planter. And over here we have some just wildflowers popping in and out of our flower bed. And up above that is our peach tree. Now I've been starting to thin out these lower branches a little bit. You can see some of them that I cut off, but it's quite a large peach tree. It got a little out of control and overgrown, so I'm gonna have to have my husband help me reach some of those top branches, and we'll get it down to a more workable size. Now we did get quite a harvest off that peach tree last year, and we made a video about that, so be sure to go check that out after you watch this one. All right. Let's go over and check on the barria next. Looks like there's a brown thrasher in there having fun. Hey, buddy. And this is our barria. It's where we keep all of our berry bushes and grapes and other things that produce little small snacks. This row along the edge of the fence here is all sugar snap peas, and that goes all the way down there. You can see they're getting pretty big. Some of them have gotten tossed around a little bit by the wind and the heat, but I did put in this netting, and it looks like some of them are starting to actually grab a hold of it. I don't know if you can see those little tendrils in there or not, but they're actually starting to grab a hold of that netting so they can climb right up it and have a little bit of support. Because we do get some strong winds out here in the countryside. There's nothing as far as cover from the wind. So they do take quite a beating sometimes. But with that netting, that should help them out. I could always do a little more weeding, but you know, everyone could. But you can see they're doing well. Hopefully we'll get some snap peas pretty soon and it won't be too hot, so they'll still be sweet. Now down on the end of the snap pea row here, I did sow some new asparagus seeds to start a new patch. They haven't come up yet, but we are harvesting asparagus off of the old patch right now. And this is our grape. Oh, it's a baby bunny. Sorry, buddy. We'll go down to the creek, find something good. So we are growing these new grapevines. We have an established grapevine, but it's not the variety we care for. So we've planted one here to grow up the posts. And a couple posts over down here, we have another grapevine. And again, we're gonna let that grow up the post and spread out across the lines here. Now these first two rows of berry bushes we planted 2 years ago when we moved in. And this end is all blackberries. And the other end is all raspberries. So you can see they're getting ready to flower. Yep, there's one right there. They're just starting to open up their flower heads. And they're pretty packed with flower heads. So we're hoping to get quite a few blackberries this year. Yeah, look on the sunny side. Check out all those new little flower heads that are going to be coming in. You can see some of them are opened, but then if you look closely, you see even more that have not yet opened. And we're really hoping for quite the harvest of blackberries. Right next to the blackberry bed is the strawberry bed. And I have seen some baby strawberries, but I haven't seen any red ones yet. So you can see here's a little baby one. They're still just green at this point, but there are quite a few in here. Ooh. I'm not seeing any red ones, but there are a lot of these green ones around. So hopefully we get a good strawberry harvest this year too. We planted these last year as bare root. And they did produce a few strawberries last year, but we're hoping for a better harvest this year. And then on this end, as I said, we have our raspberry bushes, and they have not started flowering yet. But these ones generally will come out in the summer, and then they'll come again in the fall. So we get quite a bit of raspberries off of those. Yeah, I don't see any flowers on that yet, but we're not worried about it. They're definitely luscious and doing fine, so they should produce quite a bit. Now this other middle section here is just kind of a hodgepodge of, well, there's a maple start, and all of these little raspberry starts and just branches and things. This is where our cranberries are supposed to go, but they keep getting delayed. We had an order online and it keeps getting pushed back. So what I've been doing, and you can kind of see over here where the dirt's kicked up, I've been starting to dig some of these starts up and put them in pots and take them to the farmer's market. So hopefully they can go to good use instead of just being wasted. Yeah, look at all them blackberries coming in. I don't know if the camera's showing all those little flower heads or not, but man, it's just filled with them. And this other row on the end here, we just added last year. It's got a variety of blueberries, different kinds of blueberries, and then it also has a variety of red and white currants. So if you look at the blueberries, they're almost done flowering. They were just covered in a bunch of flowers a few days ago, but you can tell where they were or where they still are. Those are where all the berries are going to show up. So we should have quite a few blueberries off of these plants this year. And this one is the other variety. Yeah, it looks like there's a couple of blueberries starting to form in there. So not too much longer. Now the currants, on the other hand, they actually do have some berries already grown on them. Like this one right here. So you can see that they're done flowering and they're starting to grow these berries. They grow them in what's called a cascade effect. Let me see if I can find a better example of that on this one. Yeah, so here you can see all of the cascading bundles of berries. And again, we've got white currants, red currants, but these are just filled with berries this year. We planted these last year as bare root along with the blueberries. So we'll be happy to start getting some currants and blueberries this year too, along with snap peas, blackberries, hopefully some cranberries, strawberries, and raspberries. So that's our barrier. All right, let's go check on the asparagus, and I'm going to show you how the wisteria and grapes are doing. Now this archway here is all wisteria and all along the fence line on either side. And in case you're not familiar with wisteria, it's a gorgeous purple flower that comes out late spring, early summer. You can see the flower heads just starting to form here. And pretty soon it will just be draped in wisteria and all along the fence line here. Now at the end of that row is a grapevine. That's the one that's already established, and it's just not the variety that we prefer. So I've been feeding this to the rabbits, and we're growing our vine over there in the barrier. Okay, this is another wisteria vine that we have here, and this one actually flowers a lot more than the one that we just walked under. You can see it's already further along than the other one. It has so many flower heads on it already. It's going to be just gorgeous once they all pop open. They look a lot like lilacs, and they smell very good too. Now just under that wisteria vine is our asparagus bed, the one that's already established. I have some footage of a few days ago where I had to break a couple of these stalks off because they were already starting to bolt. And again, that's because we've had 95 degrees or higher for the last few days, and so things have really been struggling here. It's normally in the 70s, but these new asparagus shoots that are coming up, they seem to be just fine. They're not struggling from bolting like the other ones were. So I think we're back on track with the asparagus patch. All right, let's go out and check on the big garden out back. What do you think you're doing over there? Hey, new guys. All right, now, so first of all, I just have to say, please excuse the weeds. I am not about to go out in 95-degree weather and hand trowel all this out. So that being said, this end of our large garden, from this post on, is all sweet corn. So from this post on, I've already planted sweet corn all the way down just about to the end of the garden there, where we have some carrots and kale growing. So let's take a peek at those. And if we can find some in between the weeds, let's see, here's a corn right there. And here's a corn. Here's corn. You can see that it's planted in a row. If you can see it between the weeds, when it gets nicer out here, I'll have to come through and weed between the rows so you can see them a little easier. But there is definitely corn growing in there. So here's another one. Here's another one. They're going down in a row. I believe there were 6 or 7 rows. Anyway, so this is the second potato bed that I built. I don't know that I really made a video about this one. My husband had bought some potato starts from the store because they happened to have them. And I just threw this bed together real quick with some bricks that we had left over and put the potatoes in there with some hay on top. Don't see any of those coming through yet, but it hasn't been very long for this bed. In case you're wondering what this is back here, that's our compost pile. Yeah. So here you can definitely see, even through the weeds, all of our kale growing down and the carrots that are growing right next to them. I think I planted 2 different kinds of kale, 2 different kinds of carrots. I'm assuming that the ones down on this end, for some reason, are doing better. I'm not sure why. But you can see that the kale kind of stops here. And there are some little tiny bits of kale, but it's nothing like this end of the row. And the carrots, there's 2 different varieties of those too, and they switch over somewhere in here. There's Danvers and then Scarlet Nantes. But it looks like both ends of this carrot row are doing fine. So we've got 2 kinds of carrot, we've got 1 kind of kale coming in. The other kind of kale, we'll see. And I believe that was the blue curled Scotch that's not coming in. It's, of course, my favorite. This potato bed is the first one that I did, and I did make a video about it. It's the one where I used all free materials from around the property. And you can see these potatoes are doing just fine. I was kind of worried about these initially just because, well, the starts were really long and stringy. Go back and watch that video if you don't know what I'm talking about. But they were well over chitted from what they should have been. So I was kind of worried that they were a little long and stringy. Usually when you're potato chits, you only want to let the sprouts get, you know, yay tall, not big and long and stringy like they were. But regardless, they seem to be happy where they are now. All right, let's go check on the orchard, which is all the way on the other side of the property. So down on this end of our property, we have a fruit tree orchard that we've just recently finished planting. The most recent one that we planted, of course, was in the middle of this horrible 95-degree plus weather, and it has just been burnt to a crisp. Now, we have been watering it. We did put some hay around. Hopefully it comes back, but it's just been so horribly hot and humid that it just took quite a beating. That one was our last cherry tree. Okay, so then we've also got another peach, and it's doing good. I think this one's the apricot. It's doing okay. We've got another variety of cherry bush. It seems to be doing fine. And this one is a Fuji apple tree, and it's doing excellent. I'm glad. That was the one I was looking forward to getting some from the most. This one, probably another apricot or peach. Peach. It's doing good. This one, I believe, is the Golden Delicious apple, and it's doing really nice too. This is another one of those small cherry bushes. It's fine. And this is the other apricot, and it's doing good. This is the cherry tree that Gabby helped us plant. I made a little short video about it. It's just her playing around in the hole while we were trying to get the tree in there.
It's hard to dig a hole.
She's just purring away too.
Oh, here, sit on that.
But that's that cherry tree that we planted, and it's doing good. It kind of struggled at first too with the heat. This one is the flowering peach. Again, the heat has just done wonders. This is the one that was covered in flowers in the last gardening video. So it's hanging in there, but it's kind of wilty from the heat. And then this is the apple tree that we planted last year, and it's doing just fine. Where's all them chickens? Hey, chickens! Tick, 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 chickens! Hey, tiny chicken. What you doing? Hiding in the shade? Huh? There's Mr. Frankie. Hey, buddy. What you think of your new friends over there, huh? We haven't made the video about them yet, have we? That's a secret. Hi, tiny chicken. That's a good girl. How come you guys always end up in the videos that aren't even about you? All right. You guys have a good one. I'll check you later.